Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to part 2 of our record collection video. Today I have a special guest with me. This is my partner Toby and this is our collection, and today is part 2 of us going through our record collection, Rock Edition. These are our rock and rock adjacent records, so let's get started. We are going to start with our one-offs. So first is some of my throwback emo music, Pierce the Veil, Collide with the Sky on plain black. And once again, if it's plain black, we won't be showing you, but if it is something cool, we will show you.
We've got a 20-year anniversary edition, a picture disc of Rage Against the Machine's self-titled album.
Next is another quite cool one. We have the Black Parade album, and this one has quite a cool etching on the back of one of the records. You can kind of see it. I think that is quite cool.
Next we've got a bit of Korn, Follow the Leader. This is a great album from the 90s. Would love to get some more Korn, but for now this is all we've got.
One of our favourites, we have Limp Bizkit's Significant Other.
Following that, we've got Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, another classic. This one's actually my dad's, but he gave it to me. Another great album.
Shout out Greg. And we have Dire Straits' Vertigo.
Next, I've got to cover the cover a little bit, so there's no demonetization, but it's Supernatural by Jim Jones and the Righteous Mind. I picked this one up just because I thought the album cover looked cool, and it's actually a really good album. And
we have some Creedence Clearwater Revival. This one is Willie and the Poor Boys.
We've got Lynyrd Skynyrd, album called pronounced Leonard Skynyrd. This has obviously got Freebird on it and many other bangers. Very famous album.
And now some Aussie rock. We have The Chats. Get This In Ya. So this one does have a cool pressing, but once again we ran out of inner sleeves, so I will just have to take this one out and show you. This one is very interesting. If you haven't listened to The Chats, they are an Aussie punk band. Give
Very
them a
good
listen.
music.
Yeah.
We caught them a few years ago back in Dunedin and it was a great show. Insert some clips here.
Hectic show.
We've got a Best of Pink Floyd. I do have The Wall at home, and I would love to get Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here, but for now just got this one.
And we have Disturbed, The Sickness. This one is on quite a cool pressing. It's like a smoky clear. I quite like that one.
Now, next we have a very interesting one. We've got Re-Wiggled. And this is a collab between the Wiggles and Triple J, where they got a bunch of Australian bands to cover Wiggles songs, and then vice versa. The Wiggles covered Australian bands. So the Chats record from just before, they covered one of their songs. And if you're from Australia or New Zealand, you'll know the Wiggles. And this is just an awesome album. It's also on half and half, and then half and half, and that's the colours of all the Wiggles.
Hotel California, the Eagles.
I've got a few more. We've got Weezer's Blue Album and Foo Fighters' Greatest Hits. Another band we saw these guys in Wellington, and it was an awesome show. And then last but not least from our one-offs is a very cool New Zealand band who I saw back in 2015, before they were any big news, but now Alien Weaponry are huge in the metal scene all around the world, and they're just an awesome band, awesome message, everything about them. We've got Talk to Me by Push Push. This is like just 2 tracks on each side, We EP. They're a band from Auckland here in New Zealand, but I just picked this up because I thought the album cover was cool, and turned out the song Talk to Me is a very good song, one of my favourites actually.
Right, now we are going to go into our multiples. So first,
starting off, I've got a few from Jimi Hendrix. This one here, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, Are You Experienced? This is my first ever record. It's got all of the favourites, you know, Hey Joe, Purple Haze, Foxy Lady. It's every track you know by Jimi Hendrix is on this album. I've got another one of his studio albums, Electric Ladyland, and that's basically all the rest of the bangers, bar a few. I love all of his songs, really. And then for a bit of fun, I picked up this Record Store Day Christmas picture disc. You can see him there dressed up as Santa. Isn't that cute?
And we have some Royal Blood. We have Typhoons, which is on a translucent blue, and the self-titled album as well.
I've now got a few Supertramp records. Breakfast in America, Crime of the Century, and Even in the Quietest Moments. And these ones are all picked up from a second-hand store, and I found out that they're all New Zealand first pressings, so some of these are 50 years old.
And we have some Queen as well. We have Greatest Hits and a European first pressing of A Night at the Opera. So that one's pretty cool.
Bit of a genre switch up to some death metal with the aptly named band Death. And these guys, I don't know exactly the reason for it, but they've just recently repressed like everything they've done, and it's on some of the coolest pressings that we've got. So this album here is on a gold, black and red splatter, and then this other album here that I've got from them, Human, is on a blue, gold and white splatter. And these pressings are just like awesome. And if you're into metal and you haven't heard of these guys, which if you're into metal you probably have, definitely worth checking them out. But check out those pressings.
Next, I'm just going to go through some Led Zeppelin. We have Led Zeppelin 1 through 4. Also, their album Presents.
I've now got a bit of Radiohead, and if you're a vinyl collector, I'm pretty sure just about everyone has some Radiohead. Got In Rainbows, OK Computer, a 20-year anniversary edition, which has a bunch of tracks that were unreleased at the time that have since been released. I would love to get a couple more of theirs, the Bends and, you know, all those ones, but we'll get there eventually.
Next is System of a Down. We only have 2 of their albums, but we would like to get more. We are big System of a Down fans. So we have Toxicity and their self-titled album.
I've got a bit of a bigger collection now. I've got some Red Hot Chili Peppers. So we'll go from the start of their discography, from what I've got. Blood Sugar Sex Magic, obviously very, very famous album. That's one that was always on the car when I was a kid. Then next that I've got, I know there's a couple more released in between. Unfortunately I don't have Californication, but I've got By the Way. The next one I've got is probably my favourite album of theirs, purely because of nostalgia, is Stadium Arcadium. My dad went and saw the Stadium Arcadium tour when I was like 5, and he brought back the CD and basically was on repeat in the car for the next couple of years, and just every track on this I could still sing it back to you word for word. And then finally, Return of the Dream Canteen, the most recent album of theirs. We went and saw this tour. We took my dad, which was pretty cute, you know. 15 years after he saw them, we got to take him, and it's on a nice blue pressing.
And next we have the Beatles. So we have Yellow Submarine and Abbey Road. I would also like to get the, I think it's a Greatest Hits, the album 1, because that one was one I listened to a lot as a kid as well, and I absolutely love it.
The last artist I've got on my side is Slipknot, and if you know anything about me, you know I love Slipknot. So we'll go from the start of their released discography. So we've got their self-titled album on a nice yellow pressing. Another great new, technically new metal, I'd class them as new metal album. That might be controversial, I don't know. Following up that one, Iowa, obviously another phenomenal album. That one's on a translucent green pressing. And then following along from that, I don't have the subliminal verses. I would love to get it, but yeah, very hard to come by here in New Zealand. But I've got a 10-year anniversary edition of All Hope Is Gone, and this is on a silver pressing, and this actually came with a CD of Live at Madison Square Garden, and at the time that was the only physical way you could get that performance. But then a year or so ago they released it on vinyl, so obviously had to pick that up as well. And then finally I've got a bootleg of Mate Feed Kill Repeat, and this is Slipknot as a band's first ever release, but it was before Corey Taylor was the singer. It was Anders, and so the label, it's illegal for anyone to sell it. So I got a bootleg of it, and it's on a purple and white splattery thing pressing, and I'm very glad to be able to pick this up. It's very cool.
They were in New Zealand recently, but unfortunately we didn't get to go see them. We were pretty sad about that one. But so next we have Nirvana. So first we have Nirvana, and then this one is one of my favorites. It is the MTV Unplugged performance. Phenomenal. And then we have Nirvana's Nevermind in Utero. And this one is not technically Nirvana, it's technically Post Malone, but it's Nirvana's music, so I've added it. It's Post Malone's live performance of Nirvana on a yellow pressing. And that is everything in our rock and rock adjacent collection. We have 2 more cubes of records to show, so subscribe to see those. We have a hip hop section and a everything else section, so keep an eye out for those. And that is everything. Bye!